and get something really meaningful. Hello, good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Ben TV, and the program is Politics with KO. It's another bright Thursday in London, and we're live. A lot has been happening in Nigeria. Let us leave the issue of President Buhari taking a snail ride towards progress. Let's focus on the lawmakers. Jumbo pay all across Africa, but nowhere in the world do you have lawmakers who make so much money just to sit in an assembly and say yay or nay, and they just go home multi-billionaires, as some allege. And it's hotting up in Nigeria because lots of Nigerians are quite angry, and they are organizing protests across Nigeria against the massive jumbo pay allocated to Nigerian lawmakers. So we're going to be focusing on the first half of this program, the jumbo pay to Nigerian lawmakers, and in the second part we'll be talking about Bayelsa State. Bayelsa State blessed us with former President Goodluck Jonathan, and is one of the most important states in Nigeria because they produce the main engine box of our economy. The oil you all consume comes from mainly Bayelsa, the south of Nigeria, and the Niger Delta. So I've got with me in the studio, all the way from Bayelsa State, and of course he said to me before coming on here that he's going to be the next governor of Bayelsa. I've got Moses Sia. You're welcome on Politics with KO.
Thank you very much. It's glad that I'm here.
So let us start with lawmakers. Do you have any position on that? Jumbo pay.
Well, there's been a lot of controversies. There's been a lot of concerns, by all Nigerians at all levels about, what we read on the newspaper, what we saw on the social media about the jumbo pay thing. But I want to say something here. That's my own personal opinion, because a lot of people had called me from Nigeria and beyond, to ask me some critical questions concerning this. And one thing that we all need to understand, that in our country we have constitutional problems.
Okay.
And, Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission is saddled with that responsibility in allocating money, salaries, to president, vice president, governors, senators, and House of Rep members. And that institution was actually backed by law.
Okay.
So I think there are some few people who are saddled with that constitutional responsibility that came up with that. Not the senators themselves, but I'm not speaking for the National Assembly now, because I'm not the spokesman of National Assembly. Because that's what I read and what I know.
Will you find it embarrassing if I say to you that, look, a legislator in Nigeria receives an annual salary of about $189,000. That's the equivalent of 30 million naira in a country where about 70%.
So I want to ask you the same question. Who changes that?
Well, you're the politician. And
so it is the same senators, the same National Assembly members that are saddled with the constitutional responsibility to change that. So if you have people who are selfless, people who has the collective interests of the people at heart, that will change. But over the years, what do you have? You can answer the question, but we believe that Nigeria will get to the next level.
Okay. You're a grassroots politician, and you have representative from Bayelsa State. Ben Bruce is from Bayelsa State.
I'm not a grassroots politician. Okay. I'm a businessman.
But you're going into politics?
I'm going into politics.
Okay. Okay, will you be having, even as a businessman, will you be having a conversation, say, with Ben Bruce, who is a senator, say, look, you're representing my state. Don't you think, will you be going to the National Assembly to call for a drastic reduction in these jumbo pay allowances to senators?
Yeah, I can speak, for Ben Bruce because I know Ben Bruce is a friend,
Okay.
and is also a brother. Ben Bruce is a professional in politics. Ben Bruce has grown a business from scratch to where it is today. Ben Bruce has never been in politics. He's been in business. He's been in the private sector. Now, Ben Bruce, got the mandate from his people to represent his senatorial district. I believe that somebody like Ben Bruce, we need those kind of characters in politics. And most importantly, we need them at the National Assembly. Because as far as I'm concerned, I can say here that Ben Bruce means well for the people.
Okay, in all fairness, he said on Twitter that he's going to donate his wardrobe allowance to the state of Osun, to the workers in Osun State they've been hold salary for about 6 months, some say. He's going to leave his constituency in Bayelsa where there is poverty. I have been to Ogbea local government where President Jonathan comes from, and I can confirm that Tueke, there is a need for resources to be allocated. And Ben Bruce is leaving Bayelsa to donate his wardrobe allowance to Osun State. Would you find that embarrassing that he would leave his own people to go and donate his wardrobe allowance?
Well, I was also concerned when I saw that on social media, but I've not spoken to him directly. And I believe that I will speak to him maybe later today. To get that to get that confirmation if that statement really came from him. But if that statement came from him, my own personal opinion, is that he should focus more on the people that he represents.
Okay, Moses, let's make this to our viewers. Now, I'm going to read this out to you. In terms of volume of cash earnings, the Nigerian legislators beat their counterparts in Britain. In Britain, they take $104,000 yearly. In the United States of America, they take $174,000. In France, $85,900. In South Africa, $104,000. In Kenya, $75,000. Saudi Arabia, $64,000. And in Brazil, $157,000. But Nigerian legislators take $189,000 every year. That is not just the end of the story. Apart from this 30 million naira they take home, they also get wardrobe allowance. In case the agbada gets dirty, you just change it in the next available supermarket. And again, that's not that. Newspaper, guess what? It will cost the Nigerian legislator, one senator or one House of Reps member, almost 1.6 million naira to read newspaper in a year. I mean, newspapers are online now. I can read one straight to you. I can go to Punch website. But no, Nigerian legislators are going to get almost 2 million naira to read newspaper. Wait for it. They're also going to get money for servants at home. Now, you ask yourself, are we electing human beings into this legislative organ? Do they really understand the pains of the Nigerian people? I wouldn't want my guests to speak for the senators. I'll open the phone lines now. Call in is 0208-808-0693. So that before we go to Bayelsa, let us deal with this issue of Nigerian legislators. It's quite an embarrassing situation we find ourselves. Now, let me first, before we get the phone lines, let me talk about Bayelsa. I want our international viewers to understand what Bayelsa is all about. What is Bayelsa State? How did it come into being?
Well, Bayelsa State is a small state created from the old river state. Bayelsa State was in River State. It was created, by law or by decree under the General Sani Abacha's government. And Bayelsa State today has 8 local government, which is constitutionally recognized by the federal government. And we are over, just a little bit over 1 million people. And, there's a lot of natural resources in Bayelsa State and great investment potentials in Bayelsa State, like the tourism, aquaculture. We also got, 75% of Nigerian gas reserve in Bayelsa. And that's why, there was this project that was actually coming up, the Brass LNG project, where a lot of people have actually talked about, looking at Bayelsa as a hub for gas exploration. So that's the potential that Bayelsa holds.
If Bayelsa has got all these potentials and all this wealth, why are we getting statistics that at least 85% unemployment, youth unemployment within Bayelsa state? You know, with a state with so much wealth, so much resources, so much oil and gas, and youth can't find a job.
Yeah, I think it's a leadership problem. You know, you don't give what you don't have. Bayelsa State have suffered in the hands of professional politicians. That's the way I call them. They don't have any other business. What they understand is politics. And, you know, some of them are not really exposed. Some of them are not enlightened. So you don't expect somebody who was, you know, called when he was actually in his house to come and rule over a people. So it's political imposition. We have leadership problem right from 1999 to date. And, you know, that is the reason why people like us are taking up the challenge. You know, I've been in the private sector, you know, doing business for several years now. I've employed a critical mass of young people. So I'm going to give what I have.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going there to tell them that, you know, I'm going to create employment, I'm going to do this and do that.
So Moses, if I get you clearly now, you are indicting past administrators in Bayelsa State.
No,
let me mention their names. I've got the Priye Alamesiaga, I've got Tipriye, I've got Seraki Dixon, I've got
after Alamesia, you had Goodluck Jonathan.
Goodluck Jonathan.
So after Goodluck Jonathan, you had Timmy Priye.
So none of these guys.
No, they did what they could. Yeah. You know, they did what they could. You know, I won't say here that they didn't try. You know, I'm somebody that is positive. I'm a realist. You know, they did what they could. But in driving the process to a logical end, you need someone who has the level of experience to bring about job creation in Bayelsa State. And how do you do that? You create an enabling environment for investments to strive in the state. And you also industrialize the state. You also try as much as possible to do things that are strategically important for the people. How you can create jobs, job creation. Because you are saying, to me, Bayelsa State has almost 90%. Because I've also done my homework, my statistics, you know, and all that. You have 10% who are gainfully employed. Yeah. You have a large chunk of young people, unemployed people. Yeah. And everybody in the state who are unemployed sees government as an employer of labor.
Okay, let me interject there so that I can have a first caller in. Hello, good evening, caller. Please tell me your name.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Michael and I'm coming from Gloucestershire.
All right, it's good to have you. Go ahead, please.
Oh, look, thank you. It's regarding the comment about the... Hello?
Hello, I'm with you. Go ahead.
Yes. It's regarding the comment about the amount of money the Nigerian officials are taking home.
Yes.
I think they really need to sit down and make a decision. How come they are bleeding Nigeria today? Because if they can all be sitting in the parliament or whatever, the Senate and Assembly, taking that kind of money home, have they forgotten that there are millions of Nigerians who are actually Nigerians? Because to me, my personal opinion is like you have the House of Senate, from the President, House of Senate and House of Assembly. Yeah. They seems to be the only constitutional Nigerians. Why the other 100 and something million are Nigerians for living in Nigeria like a foreigner in their own land. Okay. The amount of money, wages they are taking off for goodness. No one has even mentioned how many overseas hospital treatments they will all be doing.
Okay, yeah, on that note, so that I can get other callers in, I get your point. Thank you so much for your call. And that is the kind of pain and the kind of call we get on this program. Citizens very disillusioned about government. Those who are meant to represent them don't represent them well enough. We're linking it to Bayelsa State. You've said it's even 90%, and almost every other person depends on government for their resources. How can we change that? Starting from
it's for us to encourage professionals to go into politics. It's better for you to have, a society where you have professionals in politics and for you to have professional politicians. You know, these people, they don't look elsewhere. What they are concerned about is government. And, you know, government, whether you like it or not, be it Nigeria, in Africa, is a serious problem. We have got a very huge leadership challenge. And I believe it has to start from those who are positive-minded, who has the genuine interest of the people at heart, to represent them at all levels, and that's what we lack. And that's why the problems are there.
I know you describe yourself as a professional, you know, and you're going into politics. Well, of course, you're 35, you're going to be 35.
I was 35 on the 6th of June.
So by next year, when the election is going to hold, you'll be 30.
The elections are holding this year. The particular locality to represent their people at the National Assembly. This issue that we're talking about, this issue that you raised, it is the National Assembly that is saddled with the constitutional responsibility to do that. So you need to go back home, put pressure on your senators and your House of Rep members to ensure that they do that.
I've got my call. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yeah, did you hear that? We need to put pressure on our elected representative to make this...
Yeah, I saw you sometime, I think, was it last year, you know, when they had the Chibok girls?
Yes.
We need to, the protest we are messing about. We're not really working hard on this. Yeah, the party is not going to do anything for us.
Okay, so Moses has suggested that, let me let you go so that I can have other callers in, but I take your point. Moses is telling us we need to put pressure on our elected representatives, but now let us look at people who go into government, and I am quite worried for Bayelsa. There is militancy. There are boys who have armed themselves in the past. There's the amnesty program, and they think the government have been paying them money, stipends in the Niger Delta. Why should Nigerian government pay a minority 2% stipends every month when even within the Niger Delta, there are young, dynamic people who did not carry guns and they don't get paid? Do you agree to the amnesty program and the payment of stipends to ex-militants?
Well, it's a process that was started by some few Nigerians. The people who drafted the process, the policy, to ensure that that money is being paid, they are not foreigners. They are Nigerians, like you and me. But if you ask a Moses Siasia, if the training, the process or the procedures that was implemented during the period of our late President Yaradua, I would say I appreciate it, because whether you like it or not, we were suffering as a country. There was a very low input in terms of production. So when he actually genuinely and sincerely came out to grant amnesty to these boys, our production went up as a nation. Because whether you like it or not, our mainstay is still on crude oil. So, and those were the incentives that were agreed at that point. I wasn't there. If I was part of it, I would have made my own suggestion.
Okay, let me quickly go on social media. I think you are gathering some fans. I've got Dikpo Awojide at Ogbeni Dikpo says, I am up for young folks contesting for top jobs in Nigeria. Moses Siasia is a fellow to follow closely. TM Bada says, if we have people who are selfless, people who have the interest of people at heart, things will change. Oh, that's TM Bada quoting you. And I've got, Ayub says, Bayelsa has 75. Okay, that's another quote from you. You seem to be getting some fans on social media. But I am still suspicious of young people taking over from the old cadres, because we end up just reproducing. They tell us they're going to go there, they're going to change things. And what do we have? We have people who will be facing EFCC.
The people that you're talking about, are they young people?
Well, 40 is still young, 45 is still
young. It's relative. It's relative. A 40-year-old man that lives with his mother till his late 30s and left his mother and got a political job. What do you expect from that 40-year-old man?
So let me ask you, politics, are you going to join a political party? Do you have a political platform that you use as a stepping board to contest?
Yes, I have a political platform, and that political platform is PDP.
Oh, so you're going, okay, this is interesting. So you're going to join the PDP, and you are going to unseat, hopefully unseat a PDP governor who is currently Dixon, the favorite of the former president, and the favorite of the former joint president, Mrs. Dame Jonathan.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
So how are you going to eat that hard rock and displace such a powerful cabal within your state?
Well, I'm going to offer, I'm offering something new. And that's why, I keep telling a lot of my people, my friends, and most importantly, my associates, that look, people see my aspirations or ambition as something that is unachievable. But I believe that I like doing the extraordinary things, as I said earlier. I believe that somebody must take the bull by the horn to change the way things are done in the state. The current governor, to the best of my knowledge and to the best of his knowledge, have brought about the much needed growth, according to him, to our people.
You're saying Dixon has brought growth to...
No, I'm talking about to the best of his knowledge.
Are you satisfied?
You need to understand my choice of language. To the best of his knowledge, according to him, he has made statements time without number. I'm a young man that says thank you to people in a thankless generation. But to us who are professionals, there is more that needs to be done. And that's why we're going there. To change the narrative, to create a sustainable future for our people. And that's what I'm bringing. And I'm the real change.
For Bayelsa.
For Bayelsa State.
I've got Adeola at Adeola0503 on Twitter. Adeola says, and I quote, "It is a shame that Bayelsa State is as backward as it is. Even the past president couldn't effect any change." That is Adeola. And Adeola, I actually agree with you. I was in Otueke, the home of the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. My viewers, you cannot believe it. On the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, when you're going into Otueke, you drive from Yenegua. You turn left, it's just one street. Otueke is one road, surrounded by river. You go towards the end, it's the river side. On the right-hand side is Federal University of Otueke. On the left-hand side is the massive mansions of the Jonathans. Just by the sides are poor people living there. What would change in Bayelsa if the former president could not effect a change even within his own community, apart from the...
Am I bearing the same name with the former president?
No, you're not, but I'm just saying...
Am I of the same age bracket with the former president? Am I from the same place with him? We are not of the same parent. So I don't want you to go that route. He's a former president, whether you like it or not. He has done his best for our country. And now we have an elected government. We need to give President Buhari a chance. But all I can say is that, from 1999 to date, Bayelsa has not been fed well.
I've got a message. Before I take my caller, I know you're there. Just hold on. I've got a Twitter message from Adekunle Pierce. Atunde Pierce says, Ben wants to gain political capital. Is not... he said, Adekunle is accusing you, saying Moses is not known to be a philanthropist, and we haven't benefited so much from him. That's Tunde Peters. He's definitely not Bayelsa, but that is his word to you. Before we take our caller, please hold on. Do you want to quickly react to that?
No, but must everybody benefit from me? And that's the mentality a lot of Nigerians have. There are some people that didn't have hope, that I gave one. There are some people that didn't have voice, I gave one. I have a lot of kids studying here on my private scholarship, not on government scholarship, on my private scholarship. So if you have not benefited, that doesn't mean that you come on social media. But I understand that there are some young people, whether you like it or not, whatever you do, even if you are doing the right thing, they say the wrong thing. But I'm going to assure him that there's change and hope coming to our nation.
Let's take this caller before we take a break. Hello, good evening, caller. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from. I'm sorry for keeping you on hold.
Yeah, good evening, Kyle. This is calling from London.
Chooks, it's good to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, during the election, or before the election, I asked you, Kyle, a personal question.
Yeah.
Because you are a hard-die fan of AD.
Yeah.
And I asked you a question. Do we want change, or are we the Nigerians queue into the slogan change? Yeah. And you return to me, said we want change. We are getting change. Yeah. And after the election, we still have the same set of people changing from Awada into ADC because 70% of those in the House of Senate are the same people that I studied or the same people that I saw while in primary school. they still return them to they still change to APC, and they're still collecting wardrobe allowance, which can be used to tie a road. Like now, you are personalizing the undeveloped Bayelsa, Jonathan. Remember that, like just told you that 70% of Nigerian gas and oil comes from that state and has been exploited for the past 50 years to develop Lagos, to develop Abuja. The former military head of state, what do they do to the undeveloped one area of the Niger Delta?
Okay, Chooks, so much. Thank you for that. And Chooks made a very powerful point there. And Chooks, if you don't know, I'm probably the only Yoruba, actually the second Yoruba apart from Wale Adeoye, who was around during the Kayama Declaration, to tell you how much I've been following the Niger Delta struggle. And it is a statement of fact that Bayelsa, Chooks, if you drop the line, please, so that we can have other callers. Bayelsa and Niger Delta has been exploited by other parts of Nigeria, and there's not been enough in terms of environmental justice, in terms of core distribution of wealth. Do you agree with that statement?
I totally agree with it. Bayelsa, Niger Delta can be described as a proverbial hen that lays a golden egg and does not have anything whatsoever to show for it. And the question I keep asking my friends from other parts of the country is that if the same resources that we have in the Niger Delta and we find it in your own various zones or regions, are we still going to be having the level of fair play that we're having in our nation
But
today?
your own sons and daughters were part of the criminal gangs nationally.
You are talking about criminal gangs. Yeah. We are the minority, whether you like it or not. We don't have the numbers. Yeah. You know, Nigeria, you must understand something, Kayode. Nigeria is being ruled by majority. Yeah. We don't have the numbers. And there are some people in the nation that sees us as minority. So, but to me, as for a Moses Siasi, I'm saying this, from my own personal view, that minorities are supposed to be majorities because we lay the golden egg, but we must have something to show for it. For example, let me tell you, it is not, we also understand that we have leadership problems, but the country has never been fair to us. Okay. It doesn't happen in the US, it doesn't happen anywhere in the world. On that point, it is only Nigeria. On that point, and people are not speaking about it. Yeah, on that point, I actually agree with you. But talking about people speaking about it, and Keo Briggs, who was on this program, and the other Niger Delta activist, Tony Oranta, who is a friend. We were all in the pro-Niger Delta struggle. Late Oronto Douglas, God bless his spirit, who was also a personal friend. They all kept here quiet in the 4 years of Jonathan. The issue about environmental justice. No, you shouldn't say that, because I have even seen some of them speaking vocally on national TV, making presentations on forums, workshops, conferences on the issues of the Niger Delta. President Jonathan, as far as I'm concerned, did his best for this country. Yeah. And that is not President Jonathan's being a president of Nigeria does not solve the problem of Nigeria. So you don't agree? There are critical and fundamental issues that concerns equity and fairness. So you don't agree with the allegations that the activists of the Niger Delta replaced the genuine Niger Delta struggle with a Jonathan presidency? No, I don't agree with you. Okay, let me get this caller before we go on break. Hello, good evening, caller, if you're still there. Please tell me your name, tell me where you're calling from. It's Politics with KO.
Hello, good evening. My name is Prince. I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, Prince.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Saturday, there's something I heard a few minutes ago from a caller. Yeah. He said an APC card carrying member. Is that true? That's completely false, but you know me. I take everything in and just... You're doing your job. Yeah, go well done. You're doing a good job. Thank you, sir. There is a big problem we have as a nation. We have become a nation where you have a total dearth of political ideology. When I mean ideology, we build our political structure based on ethnicity, religion, national wealth. Yeah. There are no fundamental core political ideologies that were built from the First Republic. That's true. Babangida and the military, they took over and they killed those ideologies. And it's become a problem. If you looked at if you listen to the current president, yes, he mentioned that the political class have become a group acting like kids, and you know, there are no fundamental ideologies.
Okay. Let me see. Just hold on there. Don't go. I want to see if my guest agrees with you.
No, I totally agree with him. Before
I don't want to miss my point.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Apart from that ideology,
yeah,
we have also become a nation that is dead with ideas. With ideas, it's a shame that when the oil price goes down, when there is falling oil price, the whole nation starts shaking.
Absolutely.
Nigeria is exposed to more wealth than we are getting from oil.
That's true.
But all of us are so lazy, brain dead. How can we have a nation where the whole Western world is running to renewable energy, solar energy? We're still having problems of life, and everybody is blaming government.
Okay, on that note, I'll have to let you go. I'm so sorry, so that we can get other callers in, and my guests also agree with that point, and I cannot but agree, but I think we're going to take a short break. So when we get back, we'll continue with my guest here, Moses Siasia, who is aspiring to become the governor of Bayelsa State. He's young. He speaks for the new generation, he says. So let's hope and see what's going to happen. But let's take this short break. Poverty across the world. But poverty is poverty. Poverty does not have a tribal mark as far as I'm concerned. The poor man in Kano and the poor man in Bayelsa and the poor man in Ondo, they have one thing in common. They want food. But let's have this conversation about poverty in this short clip, and then we'll come back and continue the focus on Bayelsa State. Well, viewers, you're welcome back to Politics with KO. And on that note of poverty in the world, and guess what? The top 5 countries, the poor countries of the world, 5 from Africa, top 5. And you ask yourself, a continent blessed with so much resources. I mean, we get sun. In England, where I'm broadcasting from now, we get sun for like 4 months, and we celebrate sunshine, sunlight for 4 months. And in Africa, we have it blessed every time of the season. That is energy that can power the continent. and yet we have Africans crossing through the Sahara Desert, dying every day, you know, and you have our leaders steal money, invest it in Europe, and you ask yourself, what is wrong with the black man, with the black race and the black continent? Well, if that's not a racist statement, let me say, what is wrong with Africa and the issue of poverty and the issue of having so little in the midst of plenty? And you, Moses, said you've sold oranges and described poverty, and now you've made some bucks, if I'll use that language. Would you
I've made a living.
You've made a living. So
Yeah.
would you say, should we not be ashamed of the fact that we have so much water and yet so little to drink in Africa?
Like the local people will always say back home in Nigeria that you are in a river but soup is entering your eyes. And that's the kind of situation that we find ourselves as a people. And if you listen to me carefully, you know, in my first statement, I said in Africa we have a lot of leadership problem. It is not a problem that it's not a problem that you can just wake up and wipe out.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of programs, poverty eradication programs. We've had a lot of successive governments that have come and promised that they're going to wipe out poverty at the center level, at the state level, and also at the local government level. But the question that we keep asking ourselves, or we should ask ourselves, is that have they been able to achieve that? So if you don't have the right kind of model, if you don't have the right kind of thinking on how to change the poverty situation of a particular society, you cannot get results. Because I keep telling people, poverty also is relative.
Give me one or two models that can to politics with KO. And on that note of poverty in the world, and guess what? The top 5 countries, the poor countries of the world, 5 from Africa, top 5. And you ask yourself, a continent blessed with so much resources. I mean, we get sun. In England, where I'm broadcasting from now, we get sun for like 4 months, and we celebrate sunshine, you know, sunlight for 4 months. And in Africa, we have it blessed every time of the season. That is energy that can power the continent. And yet we have Africans crossing through the Sahara Desert, dying every day, you know, and you have our leaders steal money, invest it in Europe. And you ask yourself, what is wrong with the black man, with the black race and the black continent? Well, if that's not a racist statement, let me say, what is wrong with Africa and the issue of poverty and the issue of having so little in the midst of plenty? And you, Moses, said you've sold oranges and described poverty, and now you've made some bucks, if I'll use that language. Would you
I've made a living.
You've made a living. So would you say, should we not be ashamed of the fact that we have so much water and yet so little to drink in Africa?
Like the local people will always say back home in Nigeria that you are in a river but soup is entering your eyes. And that's the kind of situation that we find ourselves as a people. And if you listen to me carefully, you know, in my first statement, I said in Africa we have a lot of leadership problem. It is not a problem that it's not a problem that you can just wake up and wipe out. We've had a lot of programs, poverty eradication programs. We've had a lot of successive governments that have come and promised that they're going to wipe out poverty at the center level, at the state level, and also at the local government level. But the question that we keep asking ourselves, or we should ask ourselves, is that have they been able to achieve that? So if you don't have the right kind of model, if you don't have the right kind of thinking on how to change the poverty situation of a particular society, you cannot get results. Because I keep telling people, poverty also is relative.
Give me one or two models that can change poverty, say maybe in Bayelsa State.
Now, by creating sustainable livelihood for the people, by creating jobs, by engaging the people, by letting them know that they are stakeholders in progress. Look at, for example, we have a lot of models, but I can mention one. You know, the Boni people were backward. I'm talking about the Boni people in River State. They were so backward until the LNG project came to Boni. Now, the framework of that investment really shows that the people will also take ownership of that project. Now, in the sense that they're also going to get employed. There are also going to be little jobs, for vendors, people to supply little things, water, food, and all that. Now, one of the critical areas that you can use in wiping poverty is job creation and industrialization.
Okay, let me get this caller in. Poverty, create jobs. I've got the next caller on the line. Please tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Hello, I'm James. I'm calling from London.
All right, go ahead, James.
So I'm calling regarding the money that our legislative.
Yeah, our legislators. Oh, sorry, yeah. Our legislators.
Yeah, the money that I read on the paper is so heart-pouring, is so broken-hearted. I mean, I think this is not the change that we voted for. I mean, I sometimes when I check about Nigeria, I feel very sad, because there are so many people out there that are poor. We all came out en masse. We all came out en masse, voted for
change
to represent us in different constituencies.
Okay, let me quickly ask you this question, and this is let me ask you this question: are we not also guilty of the fact that when you elect someone as a senator, you expect them, even though senators are expected to create laws, you expect them to give you money during your naming ceremony? When your roof is leaking, your senator would want to provide that. They will supply rice and beans during election period. Are we not also,
That's wrong.
Yeah, but we do it though.
No, but it's a culture, because let me tell you, it's a culture. Let me say something here. Even in this my drive, a lot of elders in Koth, these politicians that we're talking about, had come to me to tell me that, Moses, our people are very myopic. If you have money, you throw around, then you can get the support of the people. If somebody comes and throw around money, a very experienced, politician, threw around money, like is giving the same people that you give money to, but is giving them higher than what you give to them, they will go back and support
so it goes
that
to the
person.
highest bidder.
So it's, pay as you go.
Okay, let me, James.
But we need to change our mentality as a people.
Okay, let me get my caller. Don't you think that's a very painful experience? I mean, in the UK, who's going to come and ask me for a bag of rice to become a local MP?
That's not going to happen at all. I haven't heard that. I haven't seen that. While I've been here for many years.
Somebody has even told me that if you don't support me, I want to buy a car. If you don't support me to complete the money that I'm going to use in buying that car, I'm not going to support you. So that is the kind of situation we are faced with.
Okay, let me thank our caller. And you made a very important point. I really appreciate that point, the fact that we feel painful about this. I was with Senator Ojudu last year, and this is a very funny story I must tell my viewers. I was in Ekiti State, and I saw a whole senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria offloading rice from trailer, and I asked him, what are you doing? And he said, look, if I don't do this in this community, I'm not going to get re-elected. And he said, in fact, I'm not going for re-election. And wait for this. As soon as I left Ojudu, the next person said to me, don't mind him, is Senator Walola. In Yoruba means Senator comes tomorrow. That means the constituent expect legislators and politicians to drop something. This politics of stomach infrastructure in Bayelsa State, how are you going to navigate this?
Well, it's a serious problem. It's a problem that we have to deal with. And the first focal point, for me, is to do a lot of mindset reorientation, do a lot of value reorientation. We need to change the mentality, the perception, the culture of the people. Now, how do we do that? Is to organize programs, workshops, exchange programs, because there are some people, whether you like it or not, they are not exposed. They have not left their locality at any point. Okay. So you need to change them to understand how other people think in other places.
Okay. I'll take this call, but let me quickly, the social media guys are on my case. Just hold on my caller, please. TM Bada says, aside from oil, what else can be produced in Bayelsa as a means of employment? And that is, TM Bada, that's a question for Moses. Just hold on to that. I get another one from Olufemi Kazim. He says, if Bayelsa lacks development, it's not only because of Abuja, but because of their own leaders. What have they been doing in that capacity? Adekunle says, I'm watching this guy on Atogunda Mrs. show, and all I see is another Tonye Prince-Will. How would you, someone is putting you on the same platform with Tonye Prince-Will, and he was on this program too.
Tonye Prince-Will is my friend. You know, he's a very good friend of mine.
So you're not just using this as a platform to further cut deals in government, get contracts from...
I will not do that. I've never, the only job I've done with government is two, supplies. And those jobs are not even up to, they are not more than $1 million. But my mainstay comes from agriculture. My mainstay for my company comes from oil and gas. Okay. That's where I have a whole large chunk of my business. I
will take this caller.
So I don't do contracts with government.
I almost collapsed there because when $1 million, I mean, if Alistair Shoyede should get $50,000 to sort of support is
no. If we are talking about $1 million, yes. You are not using. They are not giving you that $1 million. You are using it to procure an equipment for that institution.
Okay, so I really want to thank you for that correction. Because
so please,
let me get the next caller. Hello, caller. Please. Good evening. Tell me your name and where you're calling from.
I am Ademola.
Ademola, where are you calling from, please?
Amiam.
All right, go ahead.
I like the courage of Mr. Moses, but I want to ask him one question.
Yeah.
What is his political ideology? If he has a political ideology, he will not go and join PDP. Because that is why Bayelsa cannot develop. Where was the money Alamesia collected? That was why he was sent to prison. Now Alamesia is now in the Senate. You don't have a change. You cannot have a change in Bayelsa State if people like that continue in government.
Okay, just hold on, don't go. I want him to answer.
Well, I understand where it's coming from. A lot of people have come to me to say that, Moses, why are you running under PDP? You're a young man that have worked so hard. You know, we see you as a credible young man. You've grown a business, and you know we like you. But why is it that you are going to PDP? But I tell them this: whether you like it or not, people like us brings credibility to the party. PDP, to me, from 1999 to date, has done a lot for young people. And I will tell you, in real terms, the political national conference that was called by President Jonathan, we made effort to ensure that young people had representation. We fought endlessly, and they gave us an opportunity.
Okay, my caller, are you hearing me?
All this, let me talk so that because of
time. Before we call, okay, quickly.
Talk about development by Bayelsa State. Yeah. Where was the money?
Okay, let me explain to you.
All right, thank you for your call. You've made your point, so explain.
50%.
Okay, derivation. I get that. Let our next caller call in. So where is the money? Where is our 30% derivation?
I'm also pained. Most times when I tell people that I'm from Bayelsa, they feel shocked. They said, Moses, are you guys cost? From 1999 to date, Bayelsa has received over 2 trillion.
Wow.
But if you go to Bayelsa, that money cannot be compared with what is on ground. And that's why I said, if he listens to me earlier, I said we have a huge leadership problem.
Yeah. Because Moses,
and that's why people like us, we have managed funds at our very young age. Yeah. So we are going there to be accountable to the people and bring growth to the people. Now, you need a platform, whether you like it or not. In human sense, people see the party that I've identified with is like a party that is unacceptable.
Okay.
But you need a vehicle that will take you to the promised land. And that's a vehicle that I'm in at the moment.
Okay.
Except I am proving otherwise. Then we can come down from that vehicle and join another one to take us to our destination.
Let me say, Moses, it's been a pleasure having you on this program.
Thank you so much.
Time flies on this program. And for our viewers, I just want to thank you for your call. And I want to say, look, on this program, we encourage everybody, even if you want to contest as the caretaker to the toilet cleaner in the presidency, come on Politics with KO. It's a voice for everyone. You know, it's a platform Thanks to Ben TV, where we want people to be able to express themselves. Thank you to everyone behind the production crew, Tony, and to start mentioning names would actually be it's a long list. But I just want to say we'll see you next week, Thursday, where we're going to bring in another guest and we'll talk about politics in Nigeria and politics across the world. God bless you and see you. Thanks to our executive producer, Alisa Shoyede. We'll see you next Thursday. Good night. Also the political situation, and on Politics with KO, what we try and do is to go beyond the confusion and get something really meaningful.